I'm Sudhakar Mondithoka. This is my wife Shanti. And this whole week, we've just enjoyed being at Chai 316, being a part of the Apologetics DTS of YWAM has been one of the most exciting weeks for us as a family. I really enjoyed this place, the way it is set up and the way people are working in a very structured and organized fashion. And the whole ambience is so nice that we could just relax and do our work with a sense of calmness. And we enjoyed the hospitality, and all the staff and the students have been so concerned, so caring, and so responsive, so warm. So we could experience the Christian community here. In my view, it is the community life we live as God's people which often communicates more powerfully. And what we say with lips has to be backed up by what we show in life. And I could experience something of that at Chai 316. Well, the subject I taught this week in 15 lectures and in about 10 to 12 hours of Q&A time has been the subject of apologetics, which is all about defending the Christian faith, giving a vindication or justification for the Christian faith. And I covered the broader issues like what is apologetics? What does the Bible say about apologetics? How much biblical basis do we have for this discipline, which is a part of Christian theology and which is a very strong weapon in the hands of Christians in their witnessing and in their evangelizing ministry. And I covered issues like the relationship between studying apologetics and depending on the Holy Spirit, learning to do apologetics and preparing intellectually, and then preparing spiritually in intercession, in spiritual warfare. And then the whole question of whether apologetics is a modern phenomenon or if it has been there from the apostolic time all the way up to this current time. And I showed from the Bible that there were apostles who were apologists like Peter, like Paul, and then there were others like Alexander and Apollos and so on and so forth. And then the first century was a very rough time in the history of Christianity. And then second, third centuries, the church fathers were called apologists. And then throughout the church history, God has raised Christian apologists who could defend the Christian faith by defining it clearly, communicating with biblical basis and philosophical and scientific historical evidence backing up those Christian truth claims. And so I had to cover a whole lot of things, and then I brought the subject of philosophical apologetics, which is all about drawing philosophical tools like the methods of philosophy, and then the way ideas get communicated at 3 different levels. And then of course I introduced a little bit of logic, a little bit of epistemology, and gave them an overview of how any truth claims coming from any philosophy, any worldview could be tested with a set of 6 worldview testing criteria, which we call the truth test criteria. And alongside of all this, we could cover a lot of issues that are connected with this whole subject of how reason and revelation should be connected, should be linked in our own understanding and in the communication of the gospel. But apologetics, though it is a thoroughgoing academic discipline, I taught my students that we do it as Paul did, as an instrument that makes us effective and winsome and persuasive in proclaiming the gospel, in communicating the gospel, one-on-one, one to small group, and one to many in any setting.
In the past 2 decades, India had gone through huge change. young India, especially the youngsters in India right now, in this postmodern, relativistic and individualistic culture, they are going through a lot of issues. So to evangelize this generation, I believe every person who is interested in reaching out to the now generation, youngsters, they really need to equip themselves a lot. They need to study theology, they need to really study their Bible so well, and they have to have a bigger context of what actually Bible has to say, basic principles of interpretation, and also God's vision for people and the nations, and also understanding culture very keenly, and also trying to understand the issues the young generation are facing. For me, I see the generation, the now generation of youngsters, the issues they are facing are many, like identity, or they don't have any sense of direction in life, and they are going through tremendous, huge stress in their life and all these things. So in a program like ADTS here, I would say this is the best place for them to come and equip themselves in all these disciplines, at the same time developing a compassionate heart to reach the generation, and also present the credibility of Christian gospel with authenticity, clarity, conviction, and also example of life, supported by the example of life.